you just see how much they've given to the program, how much they've given to WSU, and you see the work that they put in and the sacrifices that they've made over the last 4 or 5 years. It's hard not to get emotional.
This team has a wonderful, wonderful bond, and I believe that's because of the character of the men that we have. We have a really great group of men that really do a great job of bonding with each other and really do a great job of bringing each other along and continue to wind up pushing that standard.
Welcome into the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks as always for tuning in. We've got a whole lot to get to. Stopping by on this week's show, we will have Wayne Phipps, Director of Cross Country and Track. A lot to get caught up with Wayne since the last time he was on the show. And also we'll have a debut, Malcolm Hardmon, Director of Football Athletic Performance, overseeing strength and conditioning. If there's one job that you know is going to bring the energy, bring the juice, feels like a shot in the arm, it is that position. And we've heard a lot of good things about Malcolm. We're excited to have him on. And a big thank you, as always, before we dive into this week, for our sponsor, BECU. And we'll have a little tease here before we really get into this week's episode. We're fired up for what we're going to do next week. We're going to have a mailbag, a Q&A. If you have a question for Jon Haarlow, send it our way. That email address is athletics.director@wsu.edu. Again, athletics.director@wsu.edu. And next week's episode of the podcast, we are going to have a special mailbag edition, Q&A that is coming up next week. But plenty to get to this week as we talked about our guests already. And with that, bring in Jon Haarlow. Jon, it's always great to see you. How are you doing here today?
Chris, I'm good, man. Great to see you. A Monday mailbag for next week, although it'll drop on a Wednesday, but we'll probably record on a Monday. So that'll be fun. Might be opening myself up to who knows what, but I'm excited for that. Good to be here, back in Pullman finally after a 10-day trip, but back on the road tomorrow. But it is good to be here and see the group and see the student athletes, catch the baseball game today. So it's going to be good to be out there, still kind of settling into everything. Although while a lot is the same, some is different still too. And still incredibly grateful for this opportunity. I can't express how thankful I am for all the outpouring of support and congratulatory texts, calls, emails, social messages. Someday I'm going to get caught up on that, but it's not going to be for a bit because I've had student athletes reach out. I've had alumni. I've had donors, colleagues from across the country, other ADs, coaches. It's been humbling, and it's been. I'm grateful. I keep coming back to that. I was actually traveling back yesterday. Was in the O'Hare Airport wearing my Cougs gear as I always do, and I had a lady come up to me and say, "Hey, you're Jon Haarlow, right?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she's a season ticket holder for football. It had been passed down from her parents, and we just had a conversation about Pullman and the upcoming season. And that's what being a Coug is all about. Doesn't matter where you are. That brand means something, and grateful to be able to represent it. Traveling like we do, grateful to be able to represent it here. And it was just a great reminder of all the opportunities that we have. And again, how thankful and excited I am for this opportunity. Going to continue to work through those messages and get back to people. But again, just to want to say it here, how appreciative I am for all the messages and outreach. Been pretty amazing.
Well, what a cool story that is about getting the chance to have that conversation at the O'Hare Airport. And it feels like it truly is a small world. And when it comes to WSU as well, it's even a smaller world, no matter where you might be. And you're talking about your traveling here, Jon, kind of wedged in all that is the Pac-12 meetings.
Yeah, flying back out again this evening in Corvallis for our Pac-12 discussions over the next couple of days. Still so much to get to. I'm grateful for that group and for the league's leadership through this, but still got governance things to work through and some bylaws and strategy. We're making such great progress, but there's always stuff to be done. As again, July 1 just seems it's getting quicker and quicker on the calendar, and still hammering out things football related, and we're going to touch all sorts of bases while we're there. But it'll be good to be around them. Presidents join us for a bit as well. I think SWA group has some discussions as well. So it's an all hands on deck type of deal. And excited to connect back with that group and keep working towards this launch.
An event that we have talked about quite a bit here on the podcast. Everyone heading to Kirby Moore's backyard, and I know there's going to be a great turnout, a lot of energy. It's coming up. It's this Friday night in Prosser, the night with Cougar Athletics.
Friday night, April 17th, Smasney Cellars. Again, it is sold out, but it's going to be awesome to be around Cougs, being around Cougs, which there's nothing better. Celebrate our student athletes, get to see folks raise some funds for student athlete scholarships, have some great auction items, both on the silent auction and the live auction. Can't wait to get down there and be around such a friendly group of people and do some meaningful work down there. Also want to remind the group that we've got May 15th is Spokane night with Cougar Athletics at Northern Quest. That's going to be here before we know it. Anxious to see that group there. I think tickets are still available. I probably shouldn't say that without. Come on. We'll move tickets either way. We'll find space. So Brandy's probably watching this or listening to this saying, what's he doing? But excited for that one, and just grateful to be able to have a couple different stops here and be around Cougs and raise money for student athletes.
And spring ball rolls on. We talked about Tri-Cities. The football program's been there. Talk about Spokane. The football program has been there. This last weekend, the program was right here in Pullman, but that drum continues to be beat. We're getting closer to the spring game, Crimson and Gray game on April 25th.
That group is hard at work, continue to develop, make progress as a team and as individuals. Grateful for what that group is doing. Trying to maximize the amount of days that we have allowable there. And it's going to commence there with the spring game here in a few weeks. But also want to remind folks that Saturday, what is this Saturday's date? The 17th? No, I'm sorry, 18th. Practice here on Saturday, 11:45. If those that are in town for family weekend, stop by, catch a little bit of practice, and then Saturday evening, 7 o'clock, we've got Kip Moore in concert at Beasley Coliseum. Tickets still on sale there. So a number of things to do here during family weekend. Always trying to do what we can schedule-wise with the conference setting conference dates and or at least competition dates. So trying to do what we can there, work with campus on still having some great events here and some opportunities to see student athletes and showcase our wonderful facilities. So excited for a great weekend here on Pullman.
And looking forward to for folks coming from out of town who will be here for family weekend. And that just sort of gets my mind racing, John, about football season and the season tickets. And that's going to be here before we know it.
Again, the countdown is on, Chris. And I think watching what's going on the practice field, in the weight room, this fall is going to be something that you're not going to want to miss here. And season tickets are on sale. That's the gateway to getting involved. It's meaningful to the student athletes. It's meaningful to the community. Want to see everyone here. Again, going to have a revamped game day experience. The energy on the field. Again, if what these spring workouts and spring practices have been any indication, we're going to be flying around on game days, and it's not going to be one that you want to miss. So again, visit the website, pick up your season tickets. Single game and mini plans will be on sale shortly, but get season tickets and get here, make an impact. We're ready to host you here on a game day Saturday.
Well, and on that note, kind of a recap of what has happened since our last episode of the podcast, also a preview of what's to come. How about baseball? So baseball, another really strong week, hosting top 10 Oregon State, getting a split against the Beavers. Again, a top 10 win in that victory last week in that final game of the series with the Beavers in town. And then just kept rolling from there, getting a sweep over Gardner-Webb. That's the second home series sweep of the season. So there's been some really good weather, especially for these recent games. And for all the Coug fans who've been out at Bailey Brayton Field, soaking up the sun, enjoying baseball, they've been able to see a lot of success for the program as well. So with that, the team will return to conference play and be on the road this weekend, a 3-game series at UNLV. So excited to follow along, watch or listen. We'll have all 3 broadcasts on the Cougar Sports Network, and looking for the team to see if they can get some wins, big wins on the road against UNLV. For track, and we'll be talking more about that coming up with Wayne Phipps. A small contingent went to the Jeff Ron Classic in Spokane, winning 2 events this this week, much of the team will head to Southern California for the Brian Clay Invitational, and it's coming up soon, 2 weeks away. The program will host the Cougar Classic. That's going to be an especially neat weekend. The Henry Rono statue dedication will take place, and it will be Senior Day, so a great chance to come out and cheer on the program. For tennis, they ran the winning streak to 7 with wins over Seattle U and Portland. Sunday was Senior Day, and Ava Alvarez-Sandy and Maxine Murphy were recognized prior to the match. This weekend, the regular season comes to a close with matches at Santa Clara and at San Diego. Women's golf last week finished 15th at the Silverado Showcase. That was in Napa, California. Next week at the WCC Championships, April 25th through the 27th in Fairfield, California. And for men's golf, they finished tied for 4th at their event in Davis, California. Next in action, May 1st to the 3rd. That's again the WCC Championships in Fairfield, California. My family was there cheering on the rowing team. We had a great time. That was back on Saturday morning, hosting Gonzaga. The program won 2 out of 6 against Gonzaga. Now next in action, April 18th through the 19th at the Big Ten Invite, and that is down in California.
We had a number of awesome opportunities to see the Cougs this last week here at home. That was as productive as these road trips are, with visiting with potential partners and corporate sponsors and donors and alumni, which is awesome. But I do miss being here because we had so many great events here on campus over the last week. A couple of Coug win streaks going on, baseball and tennis, which is awesome to see. And a lot of competition all over the country from all of our different sports. Excited for what's to come. There's still a lot of competition to remain this spring, and proud of what the group continues to do.
Well, with that, let's bring in our first guest. We will talk with Wayne Phipps after this timeout and a word from our sponsor, BECU.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head to toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple go Cougs at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
Well, we are excited to welcome in our first guest on this week's edition of the podcast, and no stranger to the podcast, Wayne Phipps, Director of Cross Country and Track. And Coach, here we are. It's our first chance to speak with you since the indoor season ended. It ended well with Rosemary Longisa finishing second in the mile and earning All-American honors. We've got plenty to get caught up on here.
Yeah, it was an exciting indoor season, and that race by Rosie was next level. Led all the way until the last 25 meters, one misstep, and then ended up missing the NCAA title by about 15/100ths of a second. But nonetheless, an amazing race and an amazing season by Rosie.
And then with that, some really solid performances at the MPSF Championships. How do you feel about how the team performed there?
Yeah, I thought it was an outstanding meet for us. We had the individual champion on the women's side in the 800, the mile, the distance medley relay, and then on the men's side in both the 3K and the 5K, Solomon winning both. And actually in the men's 5K, we took the first 5 spots, and in the 3K, we took 5 of the first 6. So it was an excellent meet. We actually just missed getting 3 others to the NCAA championship. Two ended up being 17th in a field that they accepted 16th. And then we had one more in the same event being 18th. So missing it by hundreds of seconds over 3 and 5K. Ultimately, we still ended up on the women's side being 28th in the nation, 15th ranked overall of all combined program cross country and indoor track. And we had the 8th ranked national men's 5K squad. So yeah, an exciting indoor season all the way around.
Coach, when the season started, to just wrap up the championships, how do you think, or where do you think the program made the biggest strides throughout the course of the season?
Oh, I think in 2 facets. I think we increased our depth In the past, we had like maybe one at the highest level, and then we had a chance for 4 at NCAA. But then I think the depth in both the men's and women's, indicated by being in the top 5, all 5 in the conference meet in the 5K was just a representative of the overall depth and growth in the program. And on the women's side, so many young people that improved so much from their first meet to their last meet. So you're seeing the future of WSU distance running as well, that get overshadowed a little bit when you've got someone like Rosie or Evans or Zena or Solomon.
And now you turn your attention pretty quickly here to the outdoor season. To the general fan, they may think, well, one's indoors, one outdoors. What's the difference? You just, run as fast as you can. What is the major difference between indoor season versus outdoor season?
Well, they would be right. Just run as fast as you can. That's always a good piece of advice. We joke around, about that. Is the way to win a race is get in the lead and then don't let anybody pass you. So we'll try to follow that strategy as much as possible. But all jokes aside, there's such a flow to what we do. So cross country ends, and then 2 weeks later, we were running at a meet in Boston to try to get an NCAA qualifier. And then we finished the NCAA indoor meet. And then 2 weeks later, we're back outdoor. So there's not much of a break for these student athletes. We try to manage their time as well as we can and try to make sure that they're recovered and taking some time so they can focus on school, but also themselves too. That the only way to sustain that is if you've got a good balance of work and recovery. I think the biggest difference moving, obviously, the name suggests it, right, is indoors to outdoors. But we do add a couple of events to the outdoor schedule that directly affects us. So we have the 10K, which we have a number of outstanding 10K athletes at the opening meet in Stanford. Evans ran the 3rd ranked 10K in the entire nation. And then the steeplechase. And coincidentally enough, we had the 4th ranked women's steeplechaser in the NCAA right now with Caroline. So those are probably the 2 biggest differences. Locations of meets, typically indoors. The biggest and most impactful distance events are either in Seattle or Boston, and then outdoors it shifts to California. So we find ourselves in California every 2 weeks. So we opened up at Stanford, and then we leave Wednesday for a huge distance meet down in Southern California called the Brian Clay Invitational in Azusa. Small track, small university, but they host maybe the biggest track meet in the entire nation. And then 2 weeks after that, we're back at Stanford.
Well, you lead me right to my next question. Just heading down to Southern California this week, a busy week on tap. What has you most excited about this trip coming up to Southern California?
Well, this is always a great meet for us. I think the highlight for our team, but also just from the experience, is the 1500s that get run on Saturday evening. So it's basically 7 straight hours of 1500s, and they run one right after the other. The previous heat is coming down the home straight, and they're already starting the next race. It's just one after another. It's chaos. It's organized and structured chaos. But we've seen NCAA records run in this 1500, and this will be Rosie's outdoor opener, which will be a pretty exciting one in the 1500. So I'm always most excited about the 1500. We have a number of other events that will be very exciting that we're hoping to get some NCAA qualifiers, but that 1500 Saturday night is always a great one. Inevitably, we always have a person in the very last race that goes around midnight, and then we're on a flight at 6 o'clock the next morning. So that's always a neat turnaround for us.
My goodness. Well, and then we're thinking about it. It's 2 weeks from now. You host the Cougar Classic. It's going to be a special weekend. There'll be the statue dedication and also Senior Day. How emotional is it each year when you recognize the seniors who have given so much to the program?
Oh, I think for me, it's always emotional. I think I get chirped at and laughed at a little bit for the emotion that I have when introducing our seniors. You just see how much they've given to the program, how much they've given to WSU, and you see the work that they put in and the sacrifices that they've made over the last 4 or 5 years. It's hard not to get emotional. But I love that part. It's such a great day, and to be able to do that on our home track is absolutely amazing. And WSU just does a great job of recognizing their seniors, whether it's individual sports doing that or our senior send off at the end of the year. Is always next level at WSU.
Coach, speaking of recognition, it was recently announced that the 1985 women's cross country team will be inducted into the WSU Athletic Hall of Fame. Really awesome to see a group recognized that laid the foundation for where the program is now.
Yeah, it was awesome because it's such an amazing accomplishment. And it was really a goal for Laura and the women's program to get back to NCAAs. And it'd been such a long time. And they looked back at that team for a long time and wanting to be where they were. And it really does lay the foundation. You're looking at maybe only a couple of years into the NCAAs for women at that point. I think 1982, maybe around that range. So it was an amazing accomplishment. And we had the good fortune to meet up with not all of them, but a group of that 1985 team. They came back onto campus. We got to interact with them, got to chat with them. One of those former student athletes actually is from my hometown in Prince George, British Columbia. So we stay in touch a little bit. So excited to have them back on campus, and so excited and well-deserved recognition for them.
Coach, it's always great having you on and getting a chance to catch up. Appreciate the time here today. And of course, best of luck the rest of the way.
All right. Thank you so much, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs. Thanks, Coach.
Well, we will take a quick time out. When we return, Malcolm Hardmon will join us right after this.
How do you spot a Coug in the wild? Head to toe crimson, gray, and, well, anything except purple? A simple go Cougs at an airport halfway around the globe? Or maybe just a little pride from BECU and some extra money in your pocket when you pay for your tacos. Get the card Cougs everywhere recognize. Join today. BECU. Go Cougs.
Well, here we are ready to bring in our second guest on this week's episode. It is a debut. Malcolm Hardmon, Director of Football Athletic Performance, so overseeing strength and conditioning and everything that comes with that. Coach, we appreciate the time. Welcome onto the podcast here. I'm glad we could get you on today.
Hey, I'm happy to be here. Definitely honored to be here. I thank you guys so much for having me here. It's definitely a good thing. You guys doing all right?
Coach Hardmon, sounds like we also owe you a happy belated birthday. Is that accurate?
It is accurate. I did have a birthday yesterday. Yep. You know what I'm saying? 36 years young. So
there we
we're
go.
Still kicking. We're still kicking.
I love it. I love it. So now that we've celebrated that's awesome to hear. So tell us a little bit about your background, where you were before you were a Coug, and what made you want to be a Coug.
Yeah, 100%. So before here, I was at Missouri for the past 4 years. I was an assistant there under the head coach, Ryan Russell. You know what I'm saying? So I actually wound up getting linked up with him at Auburn University. That's where I actually wound up getting my first coaching start. I initially started with women's basketball under Klaus Souza, who's with the Denver Nuggets now. But started with them for my internship, and then I wound up having my GA-ship at Auburn under football with Ryan Russell. I was with them for 2 years. And then right after that, that's whenever I got my first gig at Western Kentucky University, which is actually where I met one of my assistants, Kanan Clark. And we worked together there for a year. He actually wound up continuing his journey there until he actually came here this year. But then after my time there, wound up getting the call to go ahead and go to Missouri. So I was there for the last 4 years. And Kirby actually wound up getting there the year after I did. And that's whenever we wound up beginning our relationship and everything like that. And now here we are. It was pretty much a no-brainer that actually wound up coming here unquestionably, so just a huge blessing, and couldn't be more excited to be here.
One of the things that's so exciting about having you on the podcast is you've been mentioned by name by players, by coaches several times on the pod. So I'm glad to be able to give the fans and our listeners or viewers an opportunity to hear from you directly. I've been able to witness it a handful of times. You getting after the guys in morning workouts, both mentally and physically, what you and I say this in a positive way, what you put them through prepares them for the battles that's to come. It's been awesome to watch. You hit the ground running as soon as you got here in December. And so maybe it's been 4 months now, 4 months, I think.
Yeah,
maybe talk about that transition and what those first handful of months have been like.
Yeah. So, I got here December 28th. Wound up flying into Seattle, got to see Mount Rainier and everything like that. And that was my first time I've ever been to this particular portion of the country. So that was awesome. So go ahead and throw that one out there. But then wound up making a quick trip on over here and pretty much immediately got to work in terms of, template building and everything like that. Kind of really paving the road in terms of what we wanted to accomplish. Obviously getting a good look of the foundation to see what we have, right? Go ahead and lay down exactly what we could do, based on what we have. So, want to get a good framework of the weight room, what we had in the indoor, so we could wind up getting a really good speed work template going. And so that was really awesome, those first few weeks, to be able to go ahead and lay that down. Also was able to go ahead and get a couple of the players to wind up coming in and kind of get a good feel for them as well. What they felt like, they could improve on, some of the things that they really appreciated about the previous program, as well as things that they felt like they possibly could lack that I could wind up filling the gaps in. Right. So that was something that was really huge, just really laying that down. And then the other thing was, understanding exactly what I would want to be accomplishing throughout the entirety of the winter, not just from an athletic standpoint, but also from a character building standpoint. That, to me personally, is one of the most important things.
Well, that kind of leads us to where we're at now. It's the thick of things for spring ball. Let's talk about the team. How would you say spring ball has gone from your perspective?
Yeah, honestly, it's been extremely energetic. You know what I mean? Obviously, the guys are getting used to, the tempo, the fast-paced tempo that we are exposing them to, you know what I mean? And that's something that I definitely knew we were going to be bringing, and something that I definitely knew that I wanted to go ahead and make sure they were prepared for during the actual winter. So obviously, we have the schematics and everything like that, that they are getting installed, on a daily basis, and I think the guys are doing a really good job in terms of picking that up, Now, in terms of, the preparation, right, for spring ball, obviously, if I could wind up going back to our winter sessions and everything like that, we wound up really kind of slow cooking them. We had a full 8 weeks with those guys, that we wanted to go ahead and attack them with, and I kind of attacked it pretty quickly, in terms of making sure that they had the hypertrophy that they needed to have, the general preparation so they could actually wind up, continue to build on their soft tissue, so that we knew that they will be actually prepared, right? So, like I said, we had a full 8 weeks. And so within that 8 weeks, that first 4 weeks, that first block, was really kind of building them up. And we also had some pretty tough sessions on Fridays, in the form of our conditioning sessions. I knew, like I said, that they would be exposed to this fast-paced tempo. So I kind of put them through it a little bit, really kind of see what they have, not only physically, but more importantly, mentally, and how they could actually wind up really getting through that adversity. Now, also another thing is that we wound up preparing them for spring ball was, within our actual program, within our actual weight training, we actually have them really bouncing around from station to station. You know what I mean? So it's fast paced, it's fast tempo in here as well. So the standard is the standard, no matter where we are, whether we're at practice, whether we're in the weight room, whether we are in the indoor getting our speed work. But in terms of our spring ball, honestly, I couldn't be prouder of the guys. I think they're doing a really great job in terms of, really picking up exactly what is expected of them. You know what I mean? Obviously you get what you demand. And, we're demanding a lot from them, so they're really stepping up to that, and I honestly couldn't be prouder of the guys. So really glad that we were able to have that full 8 weeks so that, the guys could be prepared for it.
Coach, maybe what's been the biggest surprise?
Honestly, before I got here, I was already told about, the quality of men that we would actually wind up having on this team, and I was told that, hey, there are a bunch of really good guys, you know what I mean? And if I'm being honest with you, I kind of took that with a grain of salt, I really did. And, but then getting here and getting around these guys, like, it is no joke. Like it's a bit of an anomaly, honestly. You know what I mean? We have a really, really great group of men, who all really feed into and pour into the actual brotherhood. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, from program to program, we talk about culture, right? We talk about culture building and everything like that, really broken down in a couple of different things, For one, the standard, right? The discipline, the attention to detail and all the like. But another thing is the actual connection, the bond that the team actually winds up having. And if I'm being honest, like this team has a wonderful, wonderful bond. And I believe that's because of the character of the men that we have. We don't have a lot of knuckleheads, if I'm being honest with you. You know what I mean? Like we have a really great group of men that really do a great job of bonding with each other and really do a great job of bringing each other along and continue to wind up pushing that standard and continue to wind up getting better together.
It does seem like when we talk about the football program and the guests that we've had so far over the last couple of weeks, culture and camaraderie have continued to be phrases that are used. And when it's consistently used by both players and the staff, something there must be really hitting and resonate with them, which is pretty awesome. Maybe you started to talk on it a little bit. And you don't have to, overshare your secret sauce here if you don't want to. But maybe we've talked about Finisher Fridays on this before. Maybe talk about what those programs look like or what your buildup was there. And then your approach to that. I remember you and I had a conversation on the sidewalk one day. You were talking about accountability with their peers and how important that is. It's one thing for a coach to be saying something to them, but when their peer is holding them accountable, that's a whole nother thing. Maybe talk through your approach on that and what your programming looks like around Finisher Friday.
Yeah, 100%. So in terms of our Fridays, you know what I mean? We had a good little program of essentially we did our Cougar shuttles, right? You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to go fully into it, but, obviously, we did do a good bit of those, and we had a bit of a ramp up into doing so, right? You know what I'm saying? So on that first week, hypothetically, you would wind up doing, 15 down, back, and all the way through, we might do 4 to 5 reps, right? And then we go ahead and follow that up with some shuttles, with some sleds. We'll do some jangles, as we like to call them. Same particular aspect, going 5, back 5, going 10, back 10, going 15, back 15, all while switching between high and low handle, as well as, getting some half gassers, getting some 55s, we call them our 4 quarters, right? So of really getting that good winter conditioning. And now every single week, we actually wound up, expanding on the volume of that, so, and it was, the first week was a little bit of a shocker for those guys, you know what I mean, in terms of, kind of understanding exactly what we would wind up doing. And, so every quarter winds up building on another, right? So your first quarter, maybe you do your half gassers, going from sideline back, and then that second quarter, you go ahead and get your 55s, right? Just going straight through, probably around 75% plus on terms of your speed. And then that third, we'll go ahead and get our shuttles. And then finally, that last one, we'll go ahead and hit on our sleds, right? And, the sleds are definitely what really bring it home for the guys after the legs are already cooked. Now, with all that being the case, right, like you talked about, in terms of an accountability standpoint, we have to understand, and the players have to understand that we're not out there with them on game days, right? You know what I'm saying? We're not out there with them. They're the ones that are actually, from shoulder to shoulder, really making sure that they are bonded and together, you know what I mean? So in terms of that, if somebody winds up facing the wrong way, if somebody doesn't wind up snapping down, having their hands and feet back behind the line, if somebody winds up, getting a false start, getting a little bit too early before the whistle, somebody doesn't wind up, actually making the times that we have set for them, then obviously I'm going to do what I have to do and make sure that we go ahead and restart it. We're restarting it. We're making sure that we're locked in on those details. You know what I'm saying? How you do anything is how you do everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially, we know you're going to get tired, right? You know what I'm saying? In the fourth quarter of the game, you know what I mean? We know you're going to get tired in the fourth quarter of the season, right? But how well can you actually wind up pushing through that adversity? You know what I mean? They always talk about how your true self is going to come out whenever you are tired, right? So my job is to make sure that, you know, we expose you to that and we go ahead and try to peel back the layers of our ability to wind up going ahead and actually attacking that. Now, one thing that I do wind up encouraging these guys to do is like, listen, it's not just about me, right? You know what I'm saying? I need to make sure that you guys are also pushing each other, really getting after each other. You know what I'm saying? Don't be afraid of confrontation. Don't be afraid of really getting into somebody's face and making sure that they're actually doing what they need to do. Because at the end of the day, like I said, it's going to be you guys out there and not the coaches. So we got to make sure that you guys are holding each other accountable.
Well, there's only 2 weeks left in spring ball. Sounds like you're pleased with where the team is at right now. What's it going to take to finish out this last push and to finish it out strong?
Well, I'll tell you this, you know what I mean? Like, anybody can wind up doing something well, right? You know what I'm saying? For the first week, second week, you know what I mean? But we talk about a good bit here about mastering the mundane, right? You know what I mean? Like, obviously right here, right now, we're trying to make sure that we go ahead and accumulate the reps that we need at practice, right? You know what I mean? We're going to accumulate the reps that we need during walkthrough, you know? So with that being the case, you know, you can't wind up allowing your mind, that human nature, to wind up getting complacent and, you know what I'm saying, just taking your foot off the gas a bit. No, we need to make sure that we're actually continuing to wind up putting our foot on the gas and continue to wind up bringing the same energy, the same attention to detail. Like I said, we're mastering the mundane. So no matter what it is, you know what I'm saying, we're not going to take any rep for granted, but we're going to go ahead and make sure we're mastering our craft every single rep, one rep at a time.
Coach, summer's going to be here soon. What does summer look like for the team? What do you focus on?
So in terms of summer, you know what I mean, we break it down. We're June and July, right? You know what I'm saying? In June, the coaches will still be here. So we'll go ahead and make sure we get a good bit of OTAs, you know what I'm saying, and all the like. We'll also make sure we go ahead and expose the guys to some really good connection bonding, you know what I mean? Whether that just be kind of hanging out after we get done with OTAs or something like that, making sure they go ahead and get some shared food and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? That's going to be a really, really great time, right? You know, now in terms of, for my perspective, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's going to be kind of similar to what we had in the winter, right? Except it's going to be elongated. Okay. So, you know what I'm saying? We'll have that first month of June, right? You know what I'm saying? We're going to go ahead and make sure yet again, we get a good bit of hypertrophy work. You know, I'm going to make sure that these guys are getting the good size that they need, you know what I'm saying? The armor, so to speak, you know what I'm saying? That they'll go ahead and need for the actual season, right? You know what I'm saying? And make sure they have that stimulus that they need to go ahead and make sure they're continuing to grow. Now, when we get to the next end, when we get to July, you know what I'm saying? The coaches are going to be gone. They're just going to be with us, right? Now, with that being the case, I need to go ahead and have work backwards from fall camp, AKA I need to make sure they get prepared for fall camp and the season, right? You know what I'm saying? When we know there's going to be a lot of yardage, you know what I'm saying? There's going to be a lot of accumulated load and all the like. So we're going to go ahead and make sure during the month of July, it's going to be very sport specific, more sport specific than it was during the winter off season. So we're going to go ahead. They're not going to have a ball in their hands by any means necessary or anything like that, but we are going to go ahead and make sure that the linemen are doing some contact drills. You know what I'm saying? We're going to make sure that the big skill guys are actually doing some good change of direction work. You know what I'm saying? Skill specific. We're going to go ahead and make sure that they're getting a good bit of, you know, some chaos drills and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Something that actually winds up accumulating the reps that they'll need to make sure that they'll go ahead and be prepared for the actual season.
All right, Coach, last question here. Maybe the toughest one, not really, but if you get a little break here, or when you get a little bit of break, and I use that term loosely here, a couple weeks in May, what do you do in your downtime? What do you do in your spare time? What do you do for fun?
You know, that is a tough question. Actually, that is pretty tough. You know, in terms of that, you know, I'm trying to decide. This is my first time being in the Pacific Northwest, right? You know, so, and it's beautiful out here. It is absolutely outstanding. You know, so I think I want to go ahead and get around a little bit. You know, I've already been up to Coeur d'Alene, you know what I'm saying, been to Spokane, been to Tri-Cities. I want to get out to Seattle. I want to get out west, you know. I've heard really great things about Banff. Maybe I'll head up there, you know. But I really just kind of want to get around, you know what I'm saying, and get a lay of the land, you know. I've been down to Oregon once, Coach Moore, Coach Abercrombie, and Coach Green and I, we actually went down to Portland. This was about a month or so ago. and we went to the WWE Friday SmackDown there. And let me tell you something. Top 5 experience. It was incredible. It was awesome. But one of the things about it was actually driving into Oregon, you know what I mean, and be able to go ahead and see. I saw some waterfalls. I saw a lot of water. I mean, it was beautiful. The trees, you know what I'm saying. It was outstanding. So, and now I'm about that life. So I want to go ahead and see the sights, see what Washington has to offer.
That's a perfect answer right there. That's a great way to wrap up the interview. Coach, we appreciate the time, and thanks for all that you do for the program and for the school.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Well, again, a big thank you not only to Malcolm Hardmon, but also to Wayne Phipps as well. And a big thank you to our sponsor, as always, BECU. That will do it for this week's edition of the Inside WSU Athletics podcast. Thanks for tuning in, and go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.